Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And before you relax, I need you to hear this. If you've ever wondered why a woman suddenly pulled away from you, why her tone shifted, why her eyes went cold even though everything seemed fine, there's a very real chance it wasn't about what you did, but what you said without realizing the impact. Because the truth is this, a single sentence from a man can completely rewrite a woman's internal story about him, and he'll never even know it happened. And that's why tonight, I'm going to expose 7 things you must never say to women if you want respect, attraction, or emotional connection. Before we go further, make sure you subscribe and like the video, because what you're about to hear is the kind of truth that most men go their entire lives without ever being told. I want you to imagine something for a moment. You're talking to a woman you care about. Maybe you're dating her, maybe you're trying to, maybe she's your partner. You're being honest, trying to connect, trying to show her you're a real man with real feelings. But the moment a certain sentence slips out, her energy changes. She withdraws, she disconnects, and you can feel it, like a door quietly closing in the dark. You don't know what you said wrong, but she does. And the reason she does is because women are trained from childhood to read emotional cues at a level most men are never taught. So when you accidentally touch a hidden emotional trigger, the reaction you get isn't random, it's deeply psychological. See, most men assume communication is about the words, but for women, communication is about the implications. What your words suggest about your strength, your certainty, your emotional stability, your boundaries, your confidence, even your future potential. And when you say something that signals weakness, inconsistency, insecurity, or emotional immaturity, a woman won't always call it out. She will simply lose respect, quietly, internally, permanently. Tonight isn't about judging you. I'm a psychologist. I know why men say the wrong things. You weren't taught this. You weren't coached. No one handed you the manual on female psychology or emotional attraction. So what you say comes from instinct, and instinct can betray you when you're dealing with a woman's subconscious emotional radar. But that ends now, because once you know the 7 things you should never say, you'll stop sabotaging your own value without even noticing, and women will feel the difference instantly. Let's start with the first trap. You're overreacting. If you've ever said this, you may have thought you were being rational, calm, or even comforting. But the reality is far darker. When a man tells a woman she's overreacting, what she hears is, "I don't respect your emotions. I don't take your feelings seriously. Your experience doesn't matter to me." In that instant, a wall goes up. She may smile, nod, even laugh it off, but inside, respect begins to erode. Attraction doesn't survive where validation dies. And here's the psychological twist. Women are wired to test the emotional capacity of men. They want someone who can hold space for them without judgment, someone who can sit with intensity without flinching. When you dismiss her feelings, you signal that you cannot hold that space. That's not just a missed opportunity, it's a silent disqualification from her emotional map. The second deadly phrase is calm down. It's deceptively innocent, right? You're trying to help, maybe even de-escalate a situation, but psychologically, it lands as a command, not a suggestion. A command triggers resistance, even rebellion. Her mind instantly flips from engagement to defense. Attraction isn't just about charm or confidence, it's about emotional attunement. Women subconsciously measure whether a man is an ally to their inner world or a threat to it. Saying, "calm down," tells her, "You don't understand me. You don't respect my pace. You are trying to control me." And let me tell you something men rarely consider. Control kills desire. Respect fades first, and desire dies quietly after that. Third on the list is a sentence you might think is harmless. Why are you so sensitive? Sensitivity is a woman's emotional currency. It's what makes her connection with a man feel alive, real, and intimate. When you ridicule it, even gently, you attack the very thing she's offering you voluntarily. This isn't about words alone. It's about signaling that you cannot handle her depth, her vulnerability, her essence. A woman's subconscious records that instantly, and once that record is made, attraction is rewired. The next time you speak, she's already testing whether you will trigger her again. And if you do, she won't just withdraw, it will stick. Here's the core truth you need to absorb. Every careless sentence chips away at your perceived value. A man who understands this can preserve respect effortlessly, even in conflict. A man who ignores it will be puzzled why his words never land the way he intended, why she pulls away despite everything else seeming fine. The difference isn't luck, it's psychology. And psychology is always precise. Now, let's talk about another subtle but lethal phrase: you're being dramatic. You might think this is playful, teasing, or even innocent, but psychologically, it communicates the exact opposite of what a man wants her to feel. What she hears is, "I don't see you. I don't respect your reality. I am judging your emotions as invalid." That sting isn't just emotional, it's primal. Women are wired to assess whether a man can emotionally survive their intensity. By calling her dramatic, you signal that her emotional world is too much for you. And in that instant, she unconsciously starts evaluating your strength, your patience, your reliability. She might hide her hurt behind laughter or sarcasm, but her attraction has already been affected. The fifth phrase men often slip into conversations is, "It's not a big deal." Again, it sounds logical, right? You're trying to reassure her, to normalize a situation. But here's the hidden psychology. Women don't just respond to facts, they respond to emotional acknowledgement. When you minimize her experience, her brain interprets it as, "You don't matter to him, my perspective is irrelevant. His world doesn't include my emotions." Attraction thrives on emotional alignment, not factual accuracy. If she perceives that her internal world is devalued, respect and desire quietly diminish. She may continue talking, texting, or even smiling, but internally, she's recalibrating her trust in you, and trust is the currency of intimacy. Lose that, and you lose everything. Number 6 is deceptively casual. Why can't you just be happy? On the surface, it seems like encouragement, even affection, but for a woman, this is a subtle form of invalidation. It communicates, "Your feelings are a problem. I don't know how to handle your complexity. You need to simplify for me." Women are naturally complex, emotionally intelligent, and nuanced. When a man signals impatience with that complexity, she interprets it as weakness, disguised as advice. Desire is never built on impatience. Respect is never earned through frustration. And yet, countless men unknowingly sabotage themselves with this exact sentence, thinking they are motivating her or trying to help. The final trap, and one of the most destructive, is, "Why are you so emotional?" Every word here screams judgment. Women don't experience emotions in isolation. They're interconnected with trust, safety, and perceived value. By questioning her emotions, you are questioning her worth, and that triggers a deep, instinctual retreat. Even if she loves you, this creates a wedge between you that can linger for years. Here's the truth most men never learn. Words are not neutral. Every phrase carries weight, even when unintentional. A single careless sentence can undo months of attraction, trust, and respect. Learning to avoid these traps isn't manipulation, it's mastery. Let's be brutally honest. The words you speak are the foundation of how she perceives you. Misstep once, and she questions your maturity. Misstep twice, and she questions your value. Misstep consistently, and she silently writes you off. The seventh and often overlooked mistake is, "Calm, everything will be fine." You may think you're offering reassurance, projecting confidence, or playing the strong man. But psychologically, what she hears is, "I don't actually see the gravity of your feelings. I am dismissing your experience to make myself comfortable." Women instinctively read whether a man can face intensity without fleeing. When you underestimate her emotional reality, you're signaling that she is too much for you. And too much, in her mind, is a fatal flaw for attraction, even if she secretly admires your intent. Here's what most men don't understand. Women crave emotional validation over problem solving. When you jump straight to solutions, you miss the deeper connection entirely. A sentence like, "Everything will be fine," bypasses her reality. It tells her that her emotional labor, her struggle, and her internal world are secondary to your desire for calm. That disconnect chips away at intimacy. You may not see it, but she does, and her subconscious memory stores it. Over time, these small erosions build walls that are invisible to you, but impenetrable to her. Another subtle yet deadly habit is using humor to deflect seriousness. Saying things like, "Stop worrying, you're dramatic," or "Relax, don't be so emotional," may get a laugh. But the laughter is not affection, it's tolerance. Her brain registers the underlying dismissal, the devaluation of her feelings, and slowly, respect diminishes. Desire and respect are intertwined. When one falls, the other follows. What men often call playfulness can be misinterpreted as emotional immaturity. A woman may love your humor, but if it consistently invalidates her inner experience, she mentally notes that you are not a safe harbor for her complexity. Now here's a truth that will shake your perception of dating dynamics. Women rarely voice these reactions directly. They don't tell you, "I'm losing respect for you because of what you said." Instead, they adjust silently. Texts become shorter, engagement drops, intimacy decreases, warmth fades. You blame circumstances, stress, or even yourself, never realizing that the trigger was a few careless phrases. The men who succeed with women who maintain attraction and trust are not inherently smarter or better looking. They simply speak in ways that honor her emotional world, while subtly asserting their own boundaries and strength. Mastery over what you say is mastery over attraction. Once you internalize this, your words become your superpower instead of your liability. You begin to move through women's emotional landscapes with precision, leaving desire, trust, and respect intact, always. Now let's dive into a layer most men completely miss: the subtle psychological undertone behind what you say. It's not just the words, it's the energy they carry, the hidden meaning women read instantly, often subconsciously. Even when you think you're being reassuring, supportive, or playful, your phrasing can unintentionally trigger distrust, frustration, or disinterest. For instance, a man says, "I don't get why you're upset," believing he's showing curiosity or trying to understand. But what she hears is, "Your emotions are confusing, inconvenient, and possibly illogical. I might not stick around for this." That tiny implication can undermine months of attraction, because women are not just evaluating your intellect, they are measuring your emotional resilience, your consistency, and your ability to hold space for her without judgment. Here's another trap. Men often think that honesty covers every mistake. Saying something like, "I'm not like other guys," seems harmless, even charming. But psychologically, it communicates comparison and insecurity simultaneously. You're implying there's something wrong with other men, and maybe, just maybe, there's something she should worry about regarding you. Women are incredibly sensitive to subtle insecurity. Confidence isn't about boasting, it's about projecting calm strength, emotional stability, and reliability. Any hint of self-doubt or defensiveness, no matter how cleverly wrapped in honesty, chips away at perceived value. Then there's the fatal mistake of over-explaining. Men try to rationalize, justify, or explain themselves endlessly. "I didn't mean it that way," or "let me clarify what I meant." Women aren't evaluating the explanation, they are evaluating your emotional presence. Over-explaining signals a lack of internal control, a need for validation, and a fear of rejection. Ironically, trying to fix the situation with words often deepens the problem. A woman senses it immediately. She feels that you are insecure, overthinking, or struggling to maintain self-mastery, and desire is quietly replaced by caution. Another subtle but devastating phrase is, "You should be more positive." Even if intended as encouragement, it communicates dissatisfaction and judgment. She interprets it as a challenge to her natural emotional rhythm, as if her current state is insufficient for your approval. Women instinctively detect control attempts. They don't respond well to being molded or corrected. Attraction thrives in the presence of acceptance, not instruction. Here's the unspoken rule men must understand. Your words shape her perception of your strength, reliability, and value far more than your intentions. Every careless phrase chips away at your credibility. Every mindful, measured statement elevates it. Understanding this distinction isn't manipulation, it's mastery. It's the difference between being a man she respects and desires versus a man she tolerates while her mind quietly distances. Finally, let's bring this full circle. Understanding what not to say isn't just about avoiding mistakes. It's about harnessing the power of your words to create attraction, respect, and emotional safety simultaneously. Think of it this way. Every phrase you speak either builds a bridge toward her or erodes it quietly, piece by piece. You can't see it in the moment, but women feel it instantly. And the men who master this don't need games, manipulations, or tricks. They communicate with precision, presence, and emotional intelligence. Consider this. Instead of saying, "You're overreacting," a masterful man might say, "I hear you, tell me what you need right now." The difference isn't just vocabulary, it's the message it sends. Validation, respect, emotional availability. That single shift transforms her perception of you from someone she tolerates to someone she trusts and desires. Attraction is magnetic when she feels safe expressing her depth without fear of judgment. And that, my friend, is power most men never understand. Every word you speak communicates your inner state. Confidence, calm, and strength, or insecurity, frustration, and volatility. Women sense this instantly. Even if your intentions are good, careless phrasing can undo months of attraction. And here's the unspoken truth. Women don't just respond to your charm or looks. They respond to how your words make them feel in their subconscious. You can charm, you can flirt, you can try to impress. But if your words trigger disrespect, dismissal, or insecurity, it overrides all surface-level effort. That's why mastery over language is non-negotiable. It's why knowing what never to say is more valuable than memorizing pickup lines or dating hacks. When you internalize these 7 critical traps, overreacting, calm down, too sensitive, dramatic, not a big deal. Why can't you be happy? Why are you so emotional? You begin to wield influence effortlessly. Women instinctively feel it. Doors open. Texts are answered promptly. Energy is reciprocated. Attraction deepens without effort because your words now carry emotional precision. But here's the final secret. This isn't about manipulation. This is about becoming a man who understands female psychology deeply enough to communicate without destroying the emotional connection. The men who succeed in love, relationships, and intimacy aren't those with perfect timing. They are those who speak with clarity, respect, and emotional intelligence. They avoid the traps most men fall into unconsciously. Start paying attention tonight. Listen to what comes out of your mouth. Measure your phrases not by intent, but by the emotional weight they carry. When you master this, you don't just attract women, you command their respect, desire, and trust without even trying. And that, ultimately, is the difference between being ordinary and being unforgettable. This is your blueprint. Guard your words, respect her world, and watch your relationships transform in ways most men only dream of.